Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. This week's headlines: Orion reawakening geological giant in Northern Cape, load shedding may cut growth close to zero, and world's #1 gold complex is taking shape. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me to unpack the headlines. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, Orion Minerals wants to see Prisca grow to drive an economy in the area.
Yes, I'm very watchful of what Orion is doing in Prisca area, because I've been down there when it was run by Anglo-Val, and after it was left by Anglo-Val in 1991, and you saw that it did have the copper and it did have the zinc, and there were even towns called Copperton, and we know that the world at the moment is short of these two metals, and it is just a wake-up call that a company from Australia can see this, but people in South Africa don't see it. And then not only does the company come and want to revive that mine with fantastic prospects and a lot of horizons which they see and a lot of new mining methods, but they also are exploring to an extent where South Africans don't. And I think this is a wake-up call that you've got assets in the ground, but you're not really good at finding, discovering, and then developing. You have done it well as South Africans within the big ore bodies where the waters ran, and engineers sort of took control because these ore bodies were so big. The same with the platinum, ore bodies, very large. So we're not used to sort of really getting down and doing some searching. And I think that that's an era we have to get into now. And we're getting the lesson from Orion coming in from Australia and listing also in Johannesburg, wanting more and more Joburg shareholders coming in with a different black economic empowerment where, the black investors have even been prepared to pay a premium to get listed shares, which are much different to what normally happens when the BEE partner gets asset value shares. There's also asset level shares involved here. But they're wanting to see the black investors as being on a par with international investors, and those international investors like the listed shares, obviously. So it's not only awakening our geological senses, but it's also showing the fault lines in our black economic empowerment system and how you must bring people in at a different level. And although they're paying a premium of 29% for those shares, 29% more than what they're trading at, you'd think, gee whiz, they'd say, no, we don't want to pay this premium. The Australian leaders have been able to show them this horizon is long. What you're seeing here, that's listed as a share, contains much more than you can see at the moment. So your premium really will look like a big discount, down the line. And they've been able to do that because they've got the evidence building up, and they're also using modern technology to study where the other sources of metals and minerals are, and they're doing very well there. I'm sure that we'll see some more announcements soon. So I just want to mention this to try and awaken South Africa to the new realities of how you go about mining. You've got to do it differently, because we are sitting with the deep, dark and dangerous. We're having a lot of strikes and we're having a lot of people getting killed. You don't want that to happen in the future, so you've got to do things differently. And at the same time, they've come in to very important metals and minerals. Copper is going to be a shortage of copper in the world. Zinc is also something that is in demand at the moment. It's also a green metal. It's become a green metal. So I think South Africans have to look and see how things are done to learn how to do it in the future.
And the South African Reserve Bank has cautioned that power cuts could see the country's growth close to zero.
Our growth has been nothing to write home about, the 1% or 1.1% or 1.2%, very disheartening, the level of economic growth we're at. But if you have a situation like rotational energy supply called load shedding, it can hit that economy very, very hard. So the Reserve Bank has done a bit of a projection, and it's saying, look, if you carry on at this sort of level, you're going to, even that 1% is going to look grand, because you're just going to wipe out that economic growth. So we need to really get solutions. We need to fix our energy position, because if anybody's going to come in to invest in South Africa, they need the power. They need to know there's going to be power. Otherwise, there's no point in them coming in. And we've been used to attracting big power users because we've had big, cheap power. That's what Eskom did. It overbuilt in a way, but it created this big, cheap power. So you could have the ferrochrome producers, you could have the people actually beneficiating, as everyone says in the country, why do you just send your metals and minerals out? Why don't you add value? Well, to add value, you need that electricity, and you need that electricity at a good price. Otherwise, it's just not on. And we must look at how we get back to that. The best way of getting back, and at the moment, the renewable side looks like it is the most attractive from a price point of view and from an environmental protection point of view, and we should be maybe stepping on the gas or giving some strong leadership as to how we're going to get this low-cost energy. If we do succeed, we could rebuild our metals and minerals complex, our minerals energy complex, which used to be very strong, which used to enable us to get a lot of investment. Try and do that again, but with renewable energy that's clean, which the banks are prepared to fund. Because at the moment the banks aren't prepared to fund coal anymore. If you just replacing, you might get somewhere, but if you're actually expanding your coal, most of these financial institutions, shareholders, won't let them do it because of the climate change issues. And then nuclear people are not very they're fearful of it, because of its potential for weapons and because of some of the sources of where you get that from. They're not used to dealing with those suppliers. So it's another issue. But coming in on the renewables and using the sun and the wind, we're blessed with better than usual sun. We've probably got among the best in the world, and we've got prime wind. And a lot of the people now that I've been discussing this with, like Orion, they want to use sun energy and wind energy where they are, but they are complaining because they're saying that Eskom is penalizing them. So not only has Eskom badly undersupplied so that we can't grow and overcharged, but when you want to come in with a lower cost, they want to penalize you. They're abusing their monopoly. So this particular company is saying they want 50 million, to get us onto the grid. We would like to supply ourselves and not be burdened by the red tape that Eskom is throwing in.
And lastly, just give us some insights into the JV between Barrick Gold and Newmont.
Yeah, this Barrick and Newmont merger, it is really moving fast. I mean, you see that the Barrick side were able to persuade Newmont of really the potential in that Nevada region, which some say is almost like a rebirth of our Witwatersrand region here in terms of the gold that can be produced and the low cost that you can do that at. And I think this has speeded up the talks. And every second day, you get a release of another step forward taken by these two merging entities. And you're not used to that because, when we had Harmony trying to take over goldfields here, it was like the World War had broken out. And you often expect that when, one company wants to merge with another, it's often a takeover and people are very reluctant. But with this particular set of circumstances here, the Barrick-Newmont deal seems to be advancing in a positive way by the day.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.